So today's lesson is on understanding integers. Do you guys know what an integer is? Cole says he does.
Maybe lower number than zero.
A number that's lower than 0. So what words do we use when we're talking about numbers? We use minus. Well, no, not minus or subtract. Actually, there's a different, the word negative. That's right. Okay, so the highest point in this mountain is 535 feet above sea level. Now, the lowest point in the city of New Orleans lies 8 feet below sea level. So how would we write those highest and lowest points with integers? Alan?
To make it a negative, you would have to put a minus symbol and then 8.
That's right. So integers are whole numbers and they're opposites. Now 0 doesn't have an opposite. It is its own opposite. But the set of numbers that are called integers are used with the symbols positive and negative. So we have positive numbers, that means numbers larger than 0, and we have negative numbers. Those are numbers less than 0. Now if you can think of a number line when we're doing today's lesson, it will help you. I'm not telling you you have to draw a number line for every problem, but if you're stumped, think to yourself, if I'm at a certain integer and I'm moving or want to get less, I go this way. If I'm at an integer and I want to get higher or more, I go this way. So the difference between positive and negative integers is positive integers are more than 0 and negative integers are less than 0. How would you read the highlighted integer? How would you say that? Caden? We would say negative 5, not minus 5 or subtract 5. We call it negative 5. How about the next highlighted integer? Natasha. Excuse me. Positive 5, you're correct. Now sometimes positive integers don't have the positive sign. We read them as just regular whole numbers. You and I are used to using whole numbers, anything larger than 0, going up to in the millions. But we're not so used to dealing with these negative numbers. So if you're talking about distance above sea level, would you think you would use positive or negative integers? Alexis? Can you sit up for me, please? If we're talking about distance above sea level, positive. Distance above sea level is considered greater than 0, so we're going to use the word positive along with the number 535. So positive 535. Which of these words would you use to represent the distance below sea level, America? Negative. So we would say the number 8 with the word negative, negative 8. So what terms do we use to describe the distance of an integer from 0? Well, in social studies, I know you have learned this word before. We call it magnitude. Magnitude. So we always have to say the name of the integer, and we always have to say the word that goes with it, the magnitude, distance. That means negative or positive. Okay, let's take a look at, tell me how you would say this. How would you say this? Aiden? Negative 10, because he used this word as a keyword, below 0. Now, did you picture in your head a number line, or did you just know that?
I know.
You knew it. Oh, wonderful. How about, tomorrow, could be 70 degrees above 0. How would we say that? Will? First use the magnitude word and then the number. Positive 70. Good work. That's all right. That happens to me all the time. How about this one? I'll let you read it on your own. Darius? Okay, but you've got to use that magnitude word since we're talking about integers. positive 230 feet. There you go. How about this one? Cole?
Wait. Oh. Well, I think I had the same thing too.
Uh-oh, Will. You're rubbing off on Cole. First of all, let's use the magnitude word. So the distance to the left or the right is 0. If it's below sea level, help us out, Dathan.
Negative. Oh yeah, there we go.
Negative 52. Oh, Cole, you're just trying to make your friend Will feel better, aren't you? Will you guys open up your iPads, please? So there is a number line for you to look at on the board, although it's a little bit small. We're going to do some example problems, and all I want you to do on a blank screen is listen carefully and write the number, the integer that you hear. Okay? So the first example, I went to a bank and I withdrew $20. I withdrew $20 from the bank. How would you write that as an integer? Write it on your board. I withdrew $20. Will, tell me how you wrote that. Not minus. Negative 20. That's right. Negative 20. Okay? What if I went to the bank the next day and I deposited $100? New screen. Write down the integer. I went to the bank and I deposited $100. How would you write that? Sky? Okay, Sky, I went to the bank and I gave the bank $100. Is that going to be positive or negative? I gave it to the bank. So, yep, positive 100. Positive 100. For the next 6 examples, today's secret password is daffodil. You're going to need to show me as we talk through these. So, after Christmas this year, I measured my belly and I had gained 3 inches. Show me on your boards, how would you write a gain of 3 inches? Daffodil. You don't need to write the unit, the word inches, just the integer. Nice and high. All right, good work. Positive 3 is what I see. This word right here, gain, all of them should have keywords like deposit and withdrawal. Gain means you're giving or getting. Okay, so positive 3. Erase, go to the next one. Then it was New Year's, and I made a New Year's resolution to lose some of that weight that I gained over Christmas. And lo and behold, at the end of January, I had lost 7 pounds. I had lost 7 pounds. Show me as an integer how you would write that I lost 7 pounds. Daffodil. There's our key word, loss. Everybody did a great job. Negative 7 is correct. Now, in football, if you are a rusher and you get tackled before you get a chance to run, sometimes you lose yards. Well, what would happen? How would you write it if you had a loss of 6 yards on a play? You had a loss of 6 yards. Daffodil. Good work. What was the key word you heard? Nice job. So the temperature outside dropped 2 degrees from yesterday. The temperature outside dropped 2 degrees from yesterday. How would you write that integer if it dropped 2 degrees? Daffodil. Good work. What's the key word? Thank you. I was watching a baby in the waiting room, and that baby took 6 steps forward. How would you write 6 steps forward as an integer? Daffodil. What is your keyword?
Forward.
Good work. Our last example. Think carefully about this. I'm watching a rocket take off. 10 seconds before blast off. Tell me how you would write that as an integer. 10 seconds before blast off. How would you write that as an integer? Daffodil. I bet you guys have heard of rockets that take off and you start at 10 and you count backwards. It's going to be negative 10. Positive 10 would be 10 seconds after takeoff. Here's our key word before, negative 10. Ooh, that was a tricky one, huh? I guess so. Okay, now I want you to listen carefully to some examples that we're going to do together. On your board, I'd like you to write 20 yards. Okay, so write 20 yards. You're on a football field and you are at the 20-yard line. In the first 2 plays of the game, the team lost 5 yards and then gained 4 yards. Don't read that, I'm using my own numbers. The team lost 5 yards and gained 4 yards. Where did they end up? Don't look at this one, I changed the numbers. They lost 5 yards. They gained 4 yards. Where did they end up? Oh, let's see, Natasha. They ended up at the 19-yard line. They ended up here. This would be 15. Whoops. And adding 4 more would give you 19. All right, erase. Let's try another one. I'd like you on your board to write 2 degrees. The temperature at midnight was 2 degrees. It went down 5 degrees, and then it went up 3 degrees. What's the new temperature? I need to see the new temperature on your board. Daffodil. The answer should be 0 degrees. Now, when we're dealing with 0 degrees, do we put a positive or a negative? No. No. Okay, 5 less than this would be negative 3. 3 more than that would be 0. So it's 0. Now this is a perfect example of visualizing a number line in your head. Starting at the 2, going down 5, and then going back up 3. So looking at where you're going. Let's try another one. I have a number selected of negative 11. Everybody write it on your board. The number Joe has selected is 2 less than mine. What's her number? Write it on your board. Visualize the number line in your head.